So over the past couple of months, Logan Paul has found himself into some pretty deep doo-doo over some legal matters. Not only is he dealing with the situation with CoffeeZilla and the defamation case, but he's also facing a ton of lawsuits with his sports drink Prime. And look, I'm extremely critical on this channel, but I at least have to give Logan Paul a fair chance. So that's why I have Prime. For the first time, I'm gonna try it on this channel. Ew, why is it so cloudy? Oh my God, that was so disgusting. I need a real drink to quench my thirst. Ugh. So even while already knee deep in suing CoffeeZilla for being some sort of defamation artist, and while Liquid Marketplace, his failed NFT experiment, is facing claims of being a multi-layered fraud organization, the WWE megastar is now facing other legal battles that have to do with his Prime energy drink, his passion project. Now, it's kind of worrying that Prime will be in such a bad spot because just last year, Bloomberg reported that the energy drink company is supposed to be facing $1.2 billion in sales in the fiscal year. And they also have a lot of major partnerships going on right now. They have the UFC, the Premier League, they're partnering with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's kind of hard to believe that such a successful brand like Prime, after all it's done last year and coming into this year, will be facing such legal issues. Now, we covered on this channel last year how Prime was facing a legal battle where last year, Elizabeth Castillo claimed that Prime contained an ungodly amount of PFASs, which are known as this forever chemical that causes lengthy health problems. That lawsuit was set at $5 million as a payout, but Logan Paul quickly took to the internet and shut down those rumors expeditiously.
All right, let's talk about this. First off, anyone can sue anyone at any time. That does not make the lawsuit true, and in this case, it is not. There's claims that PFOS or forever chemicals come from plastic. We use the top bottle manufacturers in the United States. All of your favorite beverage brands, Coke, Pepsi, Tropicana, Dr. Pepper, they use these companies. One person conducted a random study and has provided zero evidence to substantiate any of their claims. Do y'all remember a while back when they said that the FDA was investigating Prime? It never happened. They never called us because we follow every single guideline and regulation.
And even beyond that, there were other times in 2023 where they were facing legal complaints where people were suing them because it was falsely labeled and it was marketed towards kids, while the drink had this excruciatingly large amount of caffeine inside of it. I mean, to the point where it kind of got scary. And with this, Logan Paul also took to the media to shut down any notion or rumor that he was doing anything dangerous or illegal even.
It has 200 milligrams of caffeine. That's nothing revolutionary or out of the ordinary. 100 milligrams less than Bang Energy. What we're doing is comparable to every other competitor in the market. And the next level of scrutiny, to be honest, would need to be from the retailer. You know, in the US, we've deemed alcohol generally as unsafe for young adults under the age of 21. So what do? Retailers ID them at the point of purchase to make sure they're of age to buy the product. By the way, caffeine's in your tea, it's in your soda. But if we think it's really as unsafe as some of these politicians are saying, and if people like Chuck Schumer really cared, then why aren't we controlling this at the point of purchase?
Now, I don't agree with a lot of what Logan Paul says or does on his platforms or in his day-to-day life. However, what he said right there was a spot-on cook. I'm not gonna lie, and that deserves a real round of applause. I personally do think excessive amounts of caffeine can be dangerous. We saw it last year where people were taking the Panera Bread and they were trying their energized lemonade or tea, and there were several people who were having heart attacks. Now, mind you, those people had underlying health conditions, but that doesn't take away from the fact that excessive amounts of caffeine can be dangerous and harmful to you, especially when we're talking about kids. But for some reason, you get ID'd when you get alcohol, you get ID'd when you take THC products from the store, you get ID'd even when you're trying to get cough and flu medicine because people like to cook up in their kitchens. But you don't get ID'd for things like caffeine. Hell, a kid can't even buy a stick of glue at CVS without getting ID'd, but they can go and get as much caffeine as they want and nobody bats an eye. Now, I do think it's bad that this product is being bashed as much as it is, and that's not necessarily the best sign of times for the company as a whole, but I do find it to be very interesting that this product is spearheaded by two YouTubers, KSI and Logan Paul, yet only one is being blackballed, called out to the stake, you know, put his head on the guillotine chopping block every single time, but people totally disregard KSI. Some of these things, I gotta say, are a directed smear campaign for who Logan Paul is. People aren't never looking at energy drink labels, but all of a sudden when Logan Paul attaches his name to it, people have got to look at it crazy style. I've never heard anybody take a 2-second look at what Mr. Beast has done of candy bars or burgers or whatever the case may be. Now they might, because he might have hired somebody who has a case to make those candy bars now that we know the real, but they never look too hard at what Mr. Beast does with his candy bars. Why is it all of a sudden that people are taking a hard look at Logan Paul when he does something? And I do think it is pretty standard for people to bring up arbitrary and trivial lawsuits when it comes to a lot of different companies because they think that they'll just get some sort of payout, even though a lot of this information is debunkable. When we look into another one of those Panera Bread situations, there was a woman who literally died, a 22-year-old, after drinking a Panera lemonade. Later on, it would come to find out that one of those Panera lemonades has 5 8-ounce cans worth of Red Bull caffeine in it. Now, mind you, I think caffeine, just like a lot of other things like sugar or some other stuff that we do in our day-to-day life, should be considered to be a drug. People can get addicted to it. When I was working at racetrack and the gas stations in the morning, I would see people come in and purchase up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm serious when I say this, 10 cans of Mountain Dews, of Red Bulls, of Monsters, or whatever other energy drink in order to get through their day. Same thing with coffee. Coffee drinkers are notorious for drinking a lot of these things. And the only difference between those people and the people that I would ring up for buying 5 or 6 packs of cigarettes and they would go through those in a day is the fact that one had to scan their ID or enter their birthday in order to purchase one of them and the other did not. But caffeine isn't the only problem that KSI and Logan Paul are having with their infamous, or maybe famous, depending on how you look at it, energy drink. Today they're looking at three heavy lawsuits from the Refresco beverage company. You know, these are the bottlers of the drink. And it's not just against Prime, but it's also against the parent company as well. The suit was filed in Delaware in Refresco, says that Prime committed to ordering at least 18.5 million cases a year over the course of 3 years. In exchange, Refresco would be investing in a custom production line built exclusively to serve Prime. Apparently, Prime failed to order the minimum requirement during its first year of the contract, and because of that, it incurred a penalty payment. And as of right now, Prime has not responded to the suit despite owing an alleged $68 million. Now, this is added on to the fact that both Prime executives as well as the Refresco executives and the parent company Congo Brands have noticed one key thing. See, after all the 2023 marketing, it looks like Prime's general perceived value has dropped. Its social media buzz has dropped. And the overall desire to consume the energy drink, it's just dropped, which brought a lot of questions into the fold of if the life cycle of this product has longevity, or do we need the two faces to constantly push the product over and over and over again? Hey, and I'm gonna tell you, after tasting Prime, they're gonna need a lot more help than Logan Paul and KSI to push this garbage. Now, when it rains, it pours, because just 3 days later, on August 9th, another class action lawsuit dropped by Shantae Heaven, who claimed that there was Prime website electronic communications wiretapping. Yeah, when you went on the website, they were tuning into what you were saying. Total invasion of privacy, because if you go on Prime's website right now, I'm pretty sure it doesn't say anything overtly about, hey, we're gonna tap into what you say or what you do. Now, there are companies that do stuff like this and we criticize them all the time, but what the hell does a beverage company need with knowing what you're saying as you're perusing their website? Jesus, my chest is literally starting to hurt after drinking that drink. This is crazy. We live in a surveillance state already, but to think that, again, a refreshment would be tracking what you say and what you do, maybe they got it in the top or something like that as well. Hello. But like I said earlier in the video, that's just 2 of the lawsuits. There's a third one, and this one is probably the most open and shut case between Prime and the Olympics. Basically, what the US Olympics and Paralympics are saying, that Prime used a lot of the trademark that was reserved for the Coca-Cola brand to use it as some sort of sponsorship thing that they're doing to make it seem like they are with the Olympics, and the Olympics is basically saying, nah, that ain't the case. So they did a podcast interview with Kevin Durant, who is a known Olympian, and they used a couple of key terms that the US Olympic Committee is saying, we can't do that. Those terms included Team USA, Olympic, and going for gold. They were used when not only describing the figure, but also in direct marketing of the product. Now, Prime has till September 12th to respond to the lawsuit, and obviously they probably won't do it, or they'll have to, because they're gonna get clapped in this one, especially because they continue to use the promotion and use the marketing even after receiving a cease and desist letter. Now, this is pretty open and shut, because the Olympics has their best interest to keep their phrases, their terminologies, or whatever branding or sponsorships or marketing that they have with the company like Coca-Cola, who extended their sponsorship from 2020 to 2032 for $3 billion. So Logan Paul and them can't just come in and take whatever they are saying and use it for their own marketing purposes. You could clearly see it on their limited edition Kevin Durant sponsored USA bottle, that they are just using and abusing these Olympic terminology. They don't even care at this point. Slip-ups like this can honestly be avoided, but they can also cost you millions if you just don't do your due diligence in your work. And trust me, there's a whole department that is hired to make sure that they are not infringing on copyright. So I don't think that this is something that they did not know. I just think that this is some sort of arrogance behind the people that are at Prime, the company, which trickles down from the top, the owners, to say, hey, I can do whatever I want to do as long as it makes my product be what it needs to be. I think one of the reasons why KSI doesn't get drug into any of these conversations is because when you look at who Logan Paul is, the cocky, arrogant guy that he is, who's always right, always has a rebuttal, and can never just take the opportunity to apologize for his wrongs and keep it pushing, we can see why people are ready to slander him and drag his name through the mud as opposed to a KSI. Whether it be the Japan incident or the George Janko incident, or hell, even the incident with CoffeeZilla where he's seemingly dragging somebody who is a YouTube documentarian through the mud because of the mistakes that he made, or the NFT projects, or any other things that Logan Paul has touched for the most part. It's riddled with cockiness, arrogance, and people label him as a dickhead. So it's easy to clamor on him and say, hey, I don't like this guy. I don't want to be a part of what this guy is selling. I don't want to intake whatever he's pushing out. And any chance that I get, I'm going to slander him. It's crazy because I think Prime could have a lot of success if it wasn't necessarily for Logan Paul. And not that I'm disrespecting him in this regard, but because when you have somebody who is so polarizing attached to a product, when it starts raining, it gets to pouring extremely fast. I don't think that Prime would be facing a lot of the issues if this was a KSI Sidemen production. I think everybody would look at it as, oh, you're hating. Why are you getting on these guys? These are some really nice guys. If it was Sidemen as opposed to Logan Paul and KSI. But ultimately, once they get a taste of the drink, they'll probably start to jump on Sidemen as well, because at this point, it's completely nasty. I look at Mr. Beast, who seems to be completely infallible in what he's doing, even though from my understanding, the Beast burgers are kind of on the drier side and those chocolate bars aren't necessarily the best, but it's okay because it's Mr. Beast. But once you get a nasty name behind you, then I don't know if people can support you and your products that you push out as a content creator, especially because it's already hard for people to like you and consume whatever products that you're pushing out, which other creators have seen in the past, like Pokimane. But especially when you're not the best guy in the best limelight like Logan Paul is, it's gonna be even harder. Now, with that being said, with that stuff about Mr. Beast that we've talked about on this channel, and it might seem like it's up for him in those chocolate bars as well.